Let's bring in another pair of smart voices to help us understand all of this even more deeply. David Weinstein, former federal prosecutor, and Tracy Walder, former CIA officer and FBI special agent. All right, so I ask this question to both of you, David and Tracy. Based on what we now know, could we eventually see some potential criminal charges filed here? Let's start with David.
We could. He's simply proving that he has in his possession documents that were not declassified, that should not have been removed from a secure area. And the fact that he had them, that is going to potentially support one of the three charges they're looking at, which is the charge under the Espionage Act. Whether or not they can establish they've not been declassified is going to be part of the crux of what they're going to need to prove here.
All right, so Tracy, break down for us the difference here between a warrant, an affidavit, and a property receipt.
So thank you for having me again, Nichole. So with a warrant, simply what they have is something that has been issued by a judge, and they are able to go into the home and seize the items that the judge has given them permission to seize. The affidavit is going to really be that probable cause that they have gained in order to be able to receive that warrant that is given to a judge, and then the judge will sign off on the warrant. A property receipt is something that you leave when you leave whatever the place is that you have served that warrant at. And it's generally a rather general list of items that were taken. In this case, obviously, it's broad because some of those items were classified.
All right, so David, let's go over to you now. Some information we know is redacted. How do they pick and choose what is actually made public?
Well, part of what was redacted was identities of law enforcement officers who made these seizures. We heard the Attorney General talk about that yesterday. Other information, and I'm looking down at the warrant itself, signatures of people who took it. Again, that's law enforcement officers who have taken it. Aside from that, they really haven't redacted much other than case ID numbers. So the fact is, we know what, not specifically, but the general contents of those boxes. Some of them contain information that they've labeled top secret SCI, which is the highest level of security. And I'm sure Tracy can attest to that as well. And those are supposed to be kept in the SCIF or in an area that's designated as a SCIF, most likely somewhere in or near the White House, not in Mar-a-Lago. And even if there's two locks on the door, that's not going to cut it for the security that's required for these top secret security documents.
All right, so David says that won't cut it. Tracy, I want to go to you now. There's some reports that are pointing to a possible mole inside Mar-a-Lago. So explain for us, how does that informant process work when it comes to then reporting something?
So, yes, that's an interesting question. What I think is really going to shine a lot of light here is obviously the release of the affidavit, because then we will know how this probable cause to obtain this warrant was acquired. When I went through the released documents, and it seemed like the areas they were searching were actually a lot broader than what I thought. It basically gave them almost carte blanche to search really all of former President Trump's facilities within Mar-a-Lago. So in all honesty, that points me away from the fact that there may have been a mole, and really points me towards the fact that perhaps this was information, these documents were information that was acquired throughout the course of perhaps another investigation. And they realized that these documents may be missing. And the reason I say that, I used to sort of think that perhaps there could have been a mole. And I'm not saying that the possibility is gone. But what I think is very interesting is to really hone in on that Title 18, Section 793 of the Espionage Act, where it's more than just the classification of the documents itself. It's also, that section talks about intent to injure or advantage foreign nations. And I think that, to me, is pointing really, with the broadness of the search warrant, to that perhaps this was information that came out of other investigations.
All right, yes, certainly. We are waiting to see, and also waiting for that affidavit, as you both mentioned. All right, David Weinstein, Tracy Walder, we thank you both for your time. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.